And before that, I was a city girl, chartered accountant. I think when we arrived, we had a paddock that was full of gorse and we had no idea what we had here. And it took somebody to come and look at what I used to call the boggy bit at the bottom of the paddock. And somebody came and told us, oh, you've got a wetland. Oh, really? It's much more attractive sounding than a boggy bit at the bottom of the paddock. So it was suggested that we could rejuvenate this wetland and plant it with native trees and by doing so enhance what we had here. It was really quite daunting for us because, as you might understand, we're from England and we'd only been in the country a relatively few years and knew very little about native plants, where they grew, how they grew, what would be appropriate. So I needed to take some advice, and with that advice we came up with a planting list and some guidance as to what would grow where, and that's all we had to start with. And we felt very much at the time that we were on our own doing this. We didn't know many people and we didn't know much about wetlands or native plants. I think today there's so many more resources available through the catchment group that there's a whole wealth of knowledge, and there are places now like ours where people can come and see what we've achieved and what can be achieved. With the location of our land and wetland, we are surrounded by neighbours, and there is also a public trackway that runs across the end, and so we are very visible to lots of people. And we were keen that whatever we did with the land, the primary importance was that it was improved and we left it in a better condition than when we arrived. But we also wanted it to look nice. It's a significant portion of our land. We can see parts of it from our house, and as I say, loads of people can see it as they walk past. And so it was important that it looked good, and it's not necessary to everybody's taste, but it's perhaps a little more manicured than some wetlands that people plant, but it's as we like it, and it is actually nonetheless a fully functioning wetland doing exactly what a natural wetland is meant to do by way of filtering water, etc. As well as this main wetland that we've been working on for quite a number of years now, we have recently started on another small project which is about 1,500 square metres, and there it wasn't a boggy area, unlike here where it was wet all year round. That one had wet. It was when it was wet in the winter, the ground was boggy, but in the summer it dried out, and we decided that it was too wet for having sheep in it, so we fenced it off and started planting. And we've been amazed by how you get the virtuous circle of the plants. We started with just some calyxes and flaxes, and how they, with their root systems, start to hold back the water and collect the silt. And so by the time we got to year 2, it was already bigger than when we started because the water was backing up. And we didn't have any mechanical digging or anything there. All we did was fence and plant. And it's stunning just how quickly you can achieve something that is now a small wetland. And that's the sort of thing that anybody can achieve with little financial input, just a bit of time and effort. When we started planting, we didn't have any neighbours. The houses were built after about the time that we started to plant here, and the number of neighbours that have said to us that, "Oh, we saw what you were doing, we saw what you were achieving, we're going to have a go now." And virtually every section around us has now got areas of native planting. Also, we're very fortunate that where our land drains out, it goes through a culvert under the road to a neighbour who was was inspired by our work and has planted up the continuation of the stream, and that then takes it all the way into a rather large QE2 covenanted wetland of another neighbour, and then at the higher end of our land, where our water arrives on our land, that land has recently changed hands and the gorse has been cut down, and that will also be planted up hopefully by the new neighbour. So by the time that's done, there will be several kilometres of continuous wetland and then riparian planting that eventually feeds in out to the sea at the Keena Bay. I don't know what it's called. What's it called there? Is that the Moutere? No, is that the Moutere Estuary?
Oh, no, Tasman Bay.
Tasman Bay, out into Tasman Bay. It was important for us when we were thinking about what we were going to do with the land was an idea of connectivity, and once we realised the potential with the water connectivity, it really sort of gave us a focus as to what we were going to do. It started out probably as almost a sort of glorified garden exercise, but when we realised just how important it was with the impact of the wetland and how it filters the water and retains the water and cleanses the water, it just made the whole thing have additional meaning and purpose for us. On a very personal note, it's been inspiring to do it because I've learnt so much from the exercise. I've learnt about planting and growing. I've grown quite a lot of these plants that we've seen today. It's as a task or a hobby maybe through into retirement. It's been amazing to take somebody that used to spend all their time sitting at a desk, and I spend all of my time outside now in nature and working with beautiful things, and has been an amazing thing. And it's amazing, really satisfying to hear other people say how it's inspired them for whatever their planting projects might be, small